Julian here. Wanted to give you an update on our Bent Creek acquisition. It's been no surprise to me that it's been as well received as it has. The one surprise that I've run into is how many calls I've gotten from you in asking about the location or about Rockwall in general. Calls like, hey Julian, I'm not really all that familiar with Rockwall. It's not an area I travel to, so can you give me a little bit of feedback or help me understand what Rockwall has to offer? Well, I can tell you that Rockwall is a county that, well, we're in the city of Rockwall, and which is the county seat of Rockwall County. Actually, it's the smallest county in the state, and as of about 10 years ago was the fastest growing county in the state of Texas. Rockwall has had a population growth of roughly 26% in the past 10 years. High rated schools, they're number 43 out of 1,018. Median household income in this particular zip code where we are now is a little over $100,000. I'm not exactly sure at this point. I think it's like 103, 104,000. The number of multifamily properties is not that large, and therefore this is one of the things that attracted me to this property because of the opportunity to bring a value-add property into a better class by making major capital improvements, which is where we're going to derive the upside to this. And while I'm saying this, the opportunity to find high value add properties is very difficult these days. And so for those of you who I know are investing in other properties, I would ask you to be wary of properties that are being brought to you that are full on yield plays. In my estimation, and I would say that Darwin would agree as well, yield plays right now are probably one of the most dangerous investments to get into given where we are in the cycle. The cycle is so high that if you don't have any room to back off your rents, if the economy happens to roll over on us, that's going to create some major problems. So I'm giving you a lot of background today on Rockwall and the opportunity here because I believe that information is the most valuable commodity in the world. Good information helps you make good decisions. Bad information or no information can be disastrous to your financial health. Again, we're at Bent Creek. The property is 97 units. We're acquiring 97 units here in the city of Rockwall. Deep value add, we're going to be making roughly a $22,000 a unit improvement to the property, and that's going to include exterior renovations, wood siding, paint. We're going to be putting new windows in. We're going to do a lot of new landscaping to the property. We're going to make improvements to the parking lot. The back of the property also borders a large creek. We're going to be cleaning some of that out to give the view out of those units a nicer view rather than what they have now. It's just dense woods. So I'm glad that I've had the opportunity to bring you this information, and I'm going to give you what I'm calling the 5-minute tour. And the 5-minute tour for me just means that within 5 minutes of this property, you can find pretty much anything you would want to find, from shopping, houses of worship, restaurants. We're only 3 blocks from downtown Rockwall. We're less than 5 minutes south from the property to Interstate 30, about 10 minutes to George Bush, and the property is just off of 205, which runs north and south, and it runs into Collin County. So come along with us. I'm going to take you to a park that's only about 3 minutes from here, and we'll start our tour there, and you can get a real good understanding and perspective of where Bent Creek is in relation to all of the things that I've just mentioned. Let's go. We're standing on the shores of Lake Ray Hubbard at the park that I mentioned earlier at the property. This park was renovated about 2-3 years ago, and on a summer day it is packed with fishermen, people that are skiing, wave running, pretty much everything that one wants to do on the water. When we leave here, I'm going to take you to the property so you can see how close this park is to the property. In fact, I wanted to show you that the property is adjacent to the neighborhood right here that you can see. It literally is about 2 minutes from the subject property. We're heading out to the property, and as we do so, you'll get a pretty good feel for the geographical location of the property, to the park, the lake, and other points of interest. We're crossing Route 66, not the famous Route 66, but 66 that runs east and west from Rockwall County into Dallas County, entering into the neighboring subdivision of Bent Creek, to give you an understanding of what type of homes and the value in the market right now of the homes adjacent. So this neighborhood was built in the 80s, and it is a neighborhood that has homes ranging from 350 up to 425,000. We are now approaching Bent Creek. You can see some of the buildings coming into view. So you saw that it really didn't take more than 2 minutes to get to the property. This is just one of the reasons why we love this location. We are now leaving the property, and we'll be turning south onto Goliad, or Route 205, which runs north and south. If we were to turn left and go north, we would hit Collin County within about 1.5 miles. We are driving south towards I-30, which is only about 2 minutes. So that gives you a better perspective of how convenient it is, particularly for the commuter, but also since interstates happen to have most of the retail activity. You'll see exactly what we liked when we found this property. Now you see we have approached Interstate 30, which was no more than less than 5 minutes. As I mentioned, this is our 5-minute tour. As I mentioned earlier, Rockwall was one of the fastest growing, or the fastest growing county in Texas 10 years ago. As with any major city, even though some might argue that Rockwall's not a major city, it has pretty much any and everything that someone would want. Restaurants, shopping, houses of worship, great schools, and of course, any good community has to have a Costco. I used to call it the $100 store, but now you can't get out of there with less than $200 a visit. Crazy. If you look to the left, this is a 1980s apartment property that is really one of the very few competition to our subject property, Bent Creek. Most of the multifamily properties in Rockwall were built after 2000, and so therefore it's very difficult for people to find affordable housing in Rockwall. This is one of the post offices here in Rockwall, and adjacent to the post office is the #1 firehouse in the city of Rockwall, literally 3 blocks from the property. We're heading north now on Goliad, or 205, and into the center of historic Rockwall downtown. And then we have a brand new brewery that got built, and that place is packed every night. People like their beer. Of course, I like it once in a while myself. We're in downtown Rockwall, where, like most towns that have quaint downtowns, we have shopping, banks, restaurants, and this was all 4 blocks, 5 blocks from the property. Heading back towards the property, you'll see how, as with the fire station, this is the police headquarters on the right hand side, and it is only 3 blocks from the property.